I want to talk to you guys. Imagine with me for a second that think back, maybe whether it was elementary or junior high or high school. I want you to think back to maybe that one teacher who had a profound impact in your life. I mean, maybe it was a particular teacher who did something special for you guys that really just stuck with you and has helped even mold and shape you into the person that you are today. You got that teacher in mind? Yeah, I do too. The teacher for me, her name was Mrs. Edmondson, and she was my first grade teacher, and she was the one who taught me how to read. And I believe that today that teachers can not only have an impact in the immediate, I mean right here, right now, but they can have an impact in a student's life for a lifetime. That even 5, 10, 15 years from now, that a person can recall maybe that one teacher who believed in them so much and spoke life into them that it even has just a huge impact in their life today with the person that they have become. Now, as I say this to you today, I'm not a teacher. I am a student pastor, but I did work in the school system for about 4 years where I worked with special need adults. And these were middle-aged, I'd say late teens into their early 20s who had special attention needs that they had. And I was able to work in a high school, and I was able to see just how teachers could impact students' life. And I thought to myself, man, if that would be something other than what I'm doing with my life now, then being a teacher would be what it is, because you can have such an impact in someone's life. And high school educators make a lasting impact on their students that can go well beyond the classroom. And 3 points that I really want to get out to you guys is this. Their guiding hands help nurture the self-image of their students. Number 2, developing them into capable and astute adults who can navigate successfully with a competitive and sometimes hostile world. And number 3, they do this, sadly, this occurs at the same time that the teachers themselves, their livelihoods and securities are threatened due to dwindling tax resources and a society that doesn't value what they do. And we're going to be discussing those 3 things. So point number 1, teachers' guiding hands help nurture the self-image of their students. As I would sit there as a young boy, one thing in first grade that I couldn't do was read. And I was always nervous that the teacher would call on me to read, and I wouldn't know how to read. I wouldn't know how to pronounce a word. And my teacher became aware of this. And Mrs. Edmondson, who I mentioned earlier here, she took me off to the side and she talked me through, because I was so fearful of not being able to know how to read that she put her arm around me and she spoke life into me. Not to say that you're wrong or you're dumb because you don't know how to read yet, but she spoke life into me, and she spent extra time even after school setting up times to be able to sit down and meet and really be able to help me focus on reading. I believe that teachers can have a profound impact on people's self-esteem. And just as Mrs. Edmondson spoke into me and helped boost me up, and even to where I can remember some of the things that she told me today, because she said that she couldn't truly read until she was in the 3rd grade, is where she fully grasped it. And as a first grader, that really stuck with me, and she helped boost my self-esteem. Another thing that she really did was she really made me realize that it's okay to ask for help. In a world where people are so dependent on themselves that they don't stop and ask somebody else for help, I've realized that, you know what, this can truly help me as I go to people and ask them for help, that not to be too prideful. And the positive effects that teacher have, you can refer back to the handout that you received on your way, and some of the positive effects. And these are some of the things that I've had people turn into me that I've asked them, and here's some of the things that they said. They said, I remember a teacher who took extra time out of their schedule to really reach out to me and help me in a subject that I was struggling with in American history. And we could go on and on and on, and I challenge you to read those, but think about that yourself. Think about the teacher who had that impact in your life. In the book, Radical Local Teaching and Learning, Marion Hedegaard says, in regards to instruction, that it moves from abstract characteristics and general laws of subject matter to concrete reality, and learning moves from personal, everyday, general laws and abstract concepts of subject matter. When proper instruction is given to a young person, it helps them go from really receiving the word to taking it as instruction and doing what they're asked to do. Instruction, when done properly, always leads to responsibility for the student. And the impact involves not only the teacher practicing a particular skill with that student, but believing in that student and really giving them that self-esteem, really boosting them. And teachers have such a profound impact in their life that way. Now let's look at how teachers prepare their students for life after high school. But by developing them into capable and astute individuals who can navigate successfully within a competitive and sometimes hostile world. I think all of us could say that this world is very difficult at times. And there's a lot of fears with the way the economy is and everything of truly being prepared. And if teachers approach their jobs the right way, they can help prepare you for a hostile world. Nothing is ever handed to you in life. There's always people who are willing to tear you down, and they'll do anything it takes to do that. But when you have a teacher who at this time of your life has really spoken into you, this can help prepare you for the real world and to be secure in who you are, because they have more than just an impact on right here and now. They have such an impact on the future. Teachers that truly seek to develop their students, number one, the teacher commits to their students. The way that a teacher approaches the classroom is also a way that the student in return can approach life, because if the teacher comes and gives all that they have and sets the example properly for a student, then that student in return, as they move forward in life, will also prepare themselves to go at it full force, to not hold back. Teachers need to see themselves in the student. And I believe that a lot of teachers, when they do that, they become more personal with that student, to be able to realize that they too were once there. And when teachers look at the student and they approach every single student that way, to say, I was once there, that teacher can truly have an impact in their life, because they're committed to see that student succeed and to bring the best out in them. And if teachers can view their life knowing that as we prepare them for the real world, whether I'm a first grade teacher or a third grade teacher, that what I'm doing now is going to impact their life even when they're in their 20s, then just knowing that you can have that impact in their life will truly push a teacher to do more for that student. And knowing that they're preparing them for life after school, despite all that teachers do and the impact they make, they remain in a job field with zero job security and little appreciation from parents at times. Teachers themselves, their livelihoods and securities are threatened due to dwindling tax resources and a society that doesn't always value what they do. I've talked to Bill Bochef, who's a teacher, and he's in our church here, and he's been a teacher now for well over 10 years. And he said that sometimes the things that he feels like he tries to do during the day with his students, that it gets all undone in the evening time with the parents. And very often, man, you never see a parent sending in a thank you card to a teacher saying, hey, thank you for all that you do for my student. And these teachers, they go in, and maybe, as you're hearing this, you're thinking about going into this profession, and you're thinking to yourself, how much money am I going to make? I honestly believe that teachers never really approach it with that mindset, because they truly realize that they are molding and shaping the lives of these young people who are the future leaders of America, because we never know the value that one person who we truly invest in, we never know the impact that they're going to go on to have one day. Could it be the future president of the United States? Who knows that? But I know these teachers that truly get what their job's all about. They empty themselves and they do their best to push themselves the way that Christ puts himself out there for us, the way that he emptied himself, God did, and became Jesus Christ and walked the earth and invested himself in the people. That's the way that teachers, man, should be doing for their students. And despite all of that, not having any job security and battling tax levies being voted up, being voted yes and being voted no, that resources can be pulled back from them and truly impacting their impact that they can have. But I believe that a teacher who truly gets it can have an impact in that student's life that can never be taken away from that child. Just as Mrs. Edmondson in first grade took the time out of her busy schedule and invested in me when I couldn't read, I believe that, man, teachers today can do that same thing for every single student if they'll look at every single student in their class with the same way, knowing that, man, they have that potential. And that, they may come from a rough home life, but that teacher can speak life into them, and they too can take this list of positive effects that some of these teachers had on some of these other people, that they too can have something added to the list because of something that they did. And I believe today, as you sit here and you look at your life, whether it's going to be a teacher or whatever it's going to be, that you too should always seek to have that impact in someone else's life, to say, man, whether it's a teacher or whatever it is that I'm going to be, that I'm going to seek to have an impact in someone's life that will echo not just in the week ahead, but even in the years, 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now. If we can all approach that, man, we can have an impact in people's life that will echo into eternity. Thank you so much, guys, for coming out today. And my third person is Nicholas Marnesian, who is recording this. And again, thank you, guys.